Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask a Citytech Grad. This week we are talking to, give us your name,
Keith Brown.
and class of,
Wow, 2015? 2014. Sorry, it's been a while.
class of 2014. Excellent. So, can you tell us what you studied when you were at Citytech?
I did communication design, and while I was there, I was part of the game design program.
Game design. Did you start off doing game design, or did you come to game design?
I came to game design. The program didn't start until about my junior or senior year there, and I believe it only lasted a couple of years because the main professor had left the school.
Right. So you got basically a couple of years of game design.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you say game design, is that video game design or just like board game design? What's specifically it?
It was a bit of a mixture. So one of the classes was like game design concepts, where we learned how to do board games, and then I took another class for 3D modeling and animation.
Right. Okay. Um, so when you left Citytech, what did you do?
Well, right before I left, I worked as an intern at Ignition One. I was their first in-house graphic designer, and after I graduated, they took me on full time. And their sister company, which is Net Mining, like they're both under the same umbrella, but I continued to work as their graphic designer until I went to get my master's.
So your internship led directly into a full-time job.
Yes.
And when you were looking around for an internship, what did you actually do? What was the process, and what was it that made them hire you?
I, I think I got kind of lucky, actually. I went to internships.com, actually, when I was searching. I had reached out, sent them my portfolio, sent the cover letter. I got a phone call back asking to come in for an interview. At the time, they were at Tribeca Park, I believe.
And what kind of thing were they looking for?
They were basically looking for someone who can do party invitations, work on their marketing material. They have a lot of sales guys at the company, so they needed someone who can spice up their presentations.
Right. Did that include PowerPoint, by the way?
Yes.
Right.
So that gave me a lot of experience learning how to use PowerPoint, because that's mainly what they used.
Is that PowerPoint? Did you learn that in any classes at Citytech, or you pick it up on the job?
That was something I kind of had to pick up on the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my experience is there's always something new that you have to learn.
Yeah.
So you were doing that, what, for a couple of years then?
Yeah, I stayed with them for about 2 years. And then it was, I felt like I needed a change. So that's when I started applying to get my master's.
So where did you end up?
I ended up in London.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I applied to Kingston University, and I applied to their game development program, and thankfully they accepted, and I packed my things and was off abroad.
So how was that experience, living and working and going to school in London?
It was really kind of like eye-opening for me, because it was interesting in that it was also my first time moving out of my parents' house. So not only am I moving away from my parents for the first time, I'm going to a whole different country.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no backup, there's no support. I can't just like crash on someone's couch if I need to.
Sure, yeah.
But it was interesting. It was my first dorming experience. Luckily I had decent roommates. They were a little bit messy, but it could have been worse. And then I was going to school about 4 times a week. It's really interesting, because I had expected that it would be like full day classes, but it was really just one class that lasted maybe about 5 hours every other day.
Oh, wow. And what neighborhood did you live in?
I was in Kingston up in Thames.
So you were in the same vicinity?
As my dorm?
As the school, yeah.
Yes. I was about a 15 to 20 minute walk away from the school.
Perfect, yeah.
So it didn't work out. I was in their dorming system, so they also had buses that chartered all students to the schools.
So, how did you find that experience, that educational experience?
It was interesting because their program, I come to find out, was actually really fresh. So they didn't. I think there was maybe just 1 year class before our class, and I remember everyone in our class was thinking we could do better than this. So it became pretty interesting because myself and a couple of others, we ended up working with the professors on how to improve the program
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
as well.
Well, it's kind of a new area for universities.
Yes,
It's exploding. I mean, the industry is gigantic, but
yes,
education is kind of galloping behind, trying to figure it all out.
definitely.
So,
You could tell it was also a learning process for them.
right. So, do you feel that you could teach it now?
That's hard to say. Like I feel like I have the knowledge for it, but without actually working, like without saying like, here, here's this AAA game that I've worked on and it's successful. I don't feel like I have the merit to be like, you should be learning from me.
Sure.
Yes.
So, once you got your degree, you did what?
So I got my degree. I started applying to jobs all around the world, and I ended up getting a quality assurance job at Naughty Dog, which is actually one of the biggest AAA developers out there. So like it was those quality assurance is pretty a low level job. Being in that studio was like a chance of a lifetime. Like
So,
I wouldn't toss that.
where is this job? Where is Naughty Dog?
Naughty Dog is actually located in California. So I ended up moving back across to the United States, but to the other side of the country, and that was a new experience as well because I had never been to California until I interviewed for the job.
Sure. Which sounds very exciting. So, describe for us what Naughty Dog does.
They develop games, like I said. They mainly do story based games, like story and action. One of their biggest is the Uncharted series, which is essentially kind of like this guy going through to like I don't want to say ancient lands, but like South America and stuff like that to discover things that have been hidden away since like the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets in trouble because it's like an action game, so you end up shooting people. And then,
Of course.
and then another one of their big franchises is The Last of Us, which is kind of like a zombie survival type game.
So then you moved on to somewhere else. What happened?
So I was there for 6 months. From what I could tell, it's pretty hard to move up as a quality assurance tester.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew if I wanted to do, I wanted to do graphic design again. And I was like, if I want to do graphic design for a game studio, I need to get more years under my belt,
Right.
more experience. I'm not getting experience doing testing. Like I'm losing time where I can be gaining more skill.
Right.
So I ended up working with a company called Onward Search, and they're a recruiting agency, and they got me a couple of freelance gigs until I landed at Dakota Communications, which turned from a perm to full-time job.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So then you have some other plans. I don't know if you want to talk about that on the internet yet.
Yeah, sure. I'm getting married. Yes. I'm currently engaged to one of your past interviewees.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're moving back to New York.
Moving up to New York, and what is that, in May, I think? Is that right?
And pretty much April 30th is when we fly back.
Oh, that's really soon.
Yes.
Oh.
So we're winding down. We only have a couple more weeks.
So, do you have anything lined up in New York?
No, I've called my contact at Onward Search, and they've put me through with a New York correspondent. So when I get out there, I'll be talking with her, and she'll be seeing if she can set me up with some work.
Excellent. So in portfolio class, we often talk about one's personal network in terms of getting work. So how are you leveraging your personal network?
It's basically the process of just calling everybody. It's like don't just go down one avenue. It's like so like you can have your network and see what's out there, and then I have the recruiting agency, but I'm also going through LinkedIn and I'm also checking companies' personal websites for listings.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like I've seen people who they get one email back and then they stop searching, hoping for that job to be the one. It's like no, don't stop searching. Just keep searching until you actually have something signed.
So what about your Citytech network in New York? Are you going to talk to them?
I should probably be reaching out soon, yeah. But I feel like it'll be better like once I'm in the city, because things move fast.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, we want to see you tomorrow.
Right.
It's like, well, I can't be there tomorrow. So once I'm back in the city, I think that's when I'll be reaching out to them and seeing if I can contact anybody.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a really interesting couple of years you've been having here.
Yes. It's like big changes every year or so.
Sure. Yeah. Countries, continents. So for students who are just about to leave Citytech, can you give anyone some wise words of advice?
Really focus on what it is that you want to specialize at.
Sure.
Because I know a couple of years back we had the like unicorn craze where they wanted you to do everything. But I think we're now going back into honing into what your specialty is.
Right.
So like if you love web design, make sure your portfolio says web design on it, and it's all web design, and then that's what you should be shooting for.
That sounds pretty good. So no more unicorns. Yes.
No.
Very helpful. Okay, well, thank you very much for this. I'm sure it will be a huge help to a lot of people. And good luck with the job hunt in New York, and congratulations on your impending nuptials.
Thank you very much.
See you later.